Hi, this recording is for Nicola Coombs. I wanted to apologize for the lateness of this, and I also wanted to apologize for my voice. I have a bit of allergies today, so I may sound a little hoarse or froggy, but we'll get you your results here, and I'll go over this for you. All right, so I took a look at all your test results and put them into the analyzer. And there's a few things that are concerning, a couple things that look concerning aren't concerning, and a couple things that aren't that don't look concerning might be concerning. So first of all, I kind of want to go over. I'll go over this one by one. Glucose looks good. I'd like to see an insulin. It's always good to have an insulin level and a hemoglobin A1C maybe once a year, but your glucose level looks good, and these are related to glucose. Can look at diabetes and prediabetes, which you're not at risk for, but it's always good to have these. Um, this BUN and creatinine is for kidney function, and that looks good. All three of these, that's for kidney function as well. That looks good. These are electrolytes. They look good. This calcium is the one thing that's concerning. So calcium normally has to do with it's an electrolyte, and in your case, normally you don't see low calcium, and that's kind of concerning. So to me, this means that you're something, I'll tell you at the end, but there's, with a grouping of different things, I have some concerns that I'll talk to you about at the end. These all look good. These are liver functions and some more electrolytes. This is liver function. That looks good. This ferritin level is good. And that's the amount of iron you have in your blood. It's more sensitive than iron, so your doctor was good to get you this ferritin level rather than the iron level. So that's fine. Triglycerides and cholesterol is a little bit high. This LDL cholesterol I didn't put in there, so I popped that in right there. But that is high, and together with the triglycerides, it's a little concerning, and I'll go over what I think should be done about that at the end. This mean corpuscular volume and MCH are related to B12 levels, and that'll go with the B12 levels, and I'll explain that at the end again. Your other numbers here look good. The white blood cells, red blood cells, hemoglobin, and hematocrit are iron levels, and other blood things that look just fine. These, even though they're just a little bit off, I don't think that these may have actually just been different numbers than what your doctor's using. So I don't these aren't out of range. They just look out of range here because I don't think I'm using the same numbers, the same units as your doctor did. So don't worry about these. Those look fine. The TSH, this is all thyroid function, and that looks fine. Their numbers are a little bit different than what I would say. I think down to 1 is okay. So I don't think that this is a problem. I have different opinions about that, and to me, that would be fine. Here's your B12 and folate. These are both low, and along with calcium, that's somewhat concerning. This vitamin D is also low. On yours, it said that it was normal, but it's not. It's on the very low end of normal, optimal, even though yours said it was mid-range, but it's definitely below optimal. So we'll talk about that at the end as well. Again, so this is everything all together. And as you can see, the calcium level is low. Your cholesterol markers are a little bit off. These B12 levels are a bit off. Don't worry about these. Those are not off. But these have to do with B12. So this is consistent with the B12 deficiency that you have here. This B12, folate, and vitamin D are all very low. And they're quite concerning. So this B12 and folate are very low, and they shouldn't be. So the vitamin D, we're all low in vitamin D if we don't take it. So that's not a big deal. And it's not super low So what I would do for the vitamin D is I would just take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D and every day and then retest in about 3 to 6 months. It's not that low, but I think you'll feel better if you get that number up a little bit higher. We're all low in vitamin D unless we take supplements, so, especially if you're not in a place where there's sun. So this isn't concerning about any problems. I would bring it up higher. So again, for this, I would do 5,000 IUs of vitamin D every day, and that might have to be done indefinitely. But again, get a level in 3 months and then retest. But you may have to take vitamin D 5,000 IUs for the rest of your life, or at least whatever dosage you need for maintenance. And between 3,500 and 5,000 is about normal maintenance levels. So this B12 and folate, and along with the calcium that was up here, these are concerning to me because they shouldn't be low. They indicate to me that there's some sort of potential absorption problem that you're having. So that could be a problem. And what I would potentially suggest, so there's two potential issues here. If it was just this B12 and folate, I would think that it was probably an absorption problem. But this calcium, I'm sorry, I would think that this was a genetic issue, and I'll go over that in just a minute. But with the calcium, I also think that this is potentially an absorption problem, that you're not absorbing nutrients as well as you should. So there's two issues. So this B12 and folate, there's a genetic issue called MTHFR, and that's a genetic issue where people don't absorb B12 and folate. They don't convert B12 and folate from their food into the proper form into their cells. So they will often have low B12 levels, but it's not true low B12 levels. It's just more of a conversion issue. But having the folate along with the calcium being low, there's likely something going on in your gut that you're not absorbing. And the first thing that I think of is gluten sensitivity. Um, so my suggestion here would be take a folate and vitamin B12 tablet along with vitamin D and calcium, and I'll give you some dosages on that. But also to get off of inflammatory foods like grains. Grains are the biggest ones, so things like wheat, corn, rice seems to be okay, but wheat and corn are the biggest ones. And the biggest mistake that people make when they do this is that they want to buy all these gluten-free grains, like the gluten-free processed grains. Just get all that junk out of your diet, and don't use them at all, is my opinion. Don't get the fake gluten-free breads and pastas and things like that. And along with that, this LDL and triglycerides, to me that tells me that you're eating like sugar or junk food quite a bit, like processed grains and or junk food, sodas or things like that. That's what brings up these cholesterol numbers. These bad cholesterol is kind of just a general poor diet. So I would recommend supplementing calcium, B12, folate, vitamin D, and get a good multivitamin, and change your diet to just whole good foods, fruits and vegetables, and meat, eggs, and that's it. Fruits, vegetables, meats, grains. That's it. Plants and vegetables. No packaged foods whatsoever. And maybe you're not taking packaged foods. I don't know, but that's what this would tell me, is that you're eating a lot of processed foods, and maybe your gut is suffering for that, and your cholesterol levels are suffering for that. So that could very well be most of your problem here. I'll go over this, but this is pretty self-explanatory. You can just look through this. I don't necessarily agree with all of these things. Yes, you have lipid dysregulation, possible metabolic syndrome. I don't think so. That means diabetes, like pre-diabetes, and your blood glucose looks really good. These are all, yes, you need B12 and folate and potentially zinc. So I'd get you on a multivitamin. I'll give you a recommendation for that. Look for a email from something called Fullscript, and that'll have some recommendations for supplements. It sounds like you might be out of country though, so you can't order them from me, but it'll give you an idea of what you might want to use. Um, so this just talks about dietary considerations and supplementation. I would also potentially recommend this apple cider vinegar before meals or just with meals. Right as you start a meal, you might want to take some apple cider vinegar, and that can help with absorption if it's more of an absorption issue rather than a gluten issue or a poor diet issue. Um, and this just goes over all those things. So I will give you some recommendations for Fullscript and through Fullscript for some supplements, and then just get some retest for your blood tests in about 3 to 6 months. And I will sign off here. It's not a super complicated, um, not a super complicated uh, report, but it is kind of concerning. All right, I will get back to you on Fullscript, and I will put this up as a video for you.